In this week's podcast, we discuss are influencers turning their backs on luxury fashion?
Are Birkins even that special anymore when everyone appears to have one?
Harriet and I have some brilliant book recommendations for you. I've never read one of Emily Henry's
Oh,
books.
I think you'd really like it, Polly. The new one is called Great Big Beautiful Life. It comes out at the end of this month.
We also talk about whether turning 30 is really that big of a deal.
I know I did a huge birthday, which was obviously amazing and everything I wanted, but at the same time, I put so much pressure on myself.
And if you got your nails done and hated the colour, would you say something or keep quiet?
As a people pleaser, then I go like, really, do you think? And they're like, yeah. And then next thing you know, I come out the salon like weird nails.
It's all in this week's episode, so stay tuned. Welcome to the SheerLuxe Vodcast. I'm your host, Polly Sayer, and today I'm joined by Vanessa Menrad and Harriet Russell, where we're chatting all things new and noteworthy, plus our favourite celeb moments and answering your dilemmas. We also have two competition winners this week, as last week's Thatcher winner was sadly based outside of the UK, so we have repicked the winner. Congratulations to Lauren Pluguez. Please write into podcast@sheerluxe.com so we can send you your prize. Our other competition winner is for the Our Place bundle. The winner is Janu Kaminsky. I'm sorry if I've not pronounced that correctly, but again, please email podcast@sheerluxe.com and select your colour choice to receive your prize. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for weekly updates. It really helps us out. Now I've finished talking.
Take a big breath.
Take a big breath.
That was really good.
Thank you so much. I feel like I did really
impressive.
well there. I'd love to hear what you guys are wearing. I'm going to stop talking. Over to you, Vanessa.
I'm wearing a dress, a naked dress. It's like one of those drop waist ones.
Love.
Which I didn't realise how flattering they are. And then I'm wearing, this blazer is a vintage blazer. It's from my late granddad. I found it. I really liked it. I was like, this is giving the Frankie Shop vibe. And then shoes are also naked. And the socks, I actually don't remember.
Inspired choice though, the little floral socks.
Yeah, I love
Very
it.
cute.
So cute.
Little spring moment. I'm just dressing for spring now.
Yes, we're all in a spring mentality. Harriet, talk us through yours.
I think the last time I was on with you, I was like, my jeans are next. I love next denim.
Well,
These are next.
I was actually about to ask you where they were from. Very nice.
Yeah, I think the style is Stretch Mom.
Stretch Mom.
Stretch Mom, whatever that means. Jacket is Anina Bing. T-shirt is Victoria Beckham via Brand Alley.
Nice.
And shoes are LK Bennett.
Gorgeous. Well, my cardigan is from American Vintage, but I actually got it on eBay. T-shirt underneath, I think is Topshop via ASOS. Trousers are from With Nothing Underneath, loafers, ASOS as well. And my glasses are from Jimmy Fairley. I feel like we're really firmly in the spring mood, aren't we?
The tide has turned, the weather's lush.
I know. It really makes... I know it's so basic to say, but it just makes a goddamn difference,
Makes
doesn't
a
it?
goddamn difference, it does.
Honestly, suddenly so much more positive. Had my first picky tea.
Oh, did
outside
you?
in the park, yeah.
Very nice.
Yesterday. It was very fun. I will say though, I'm struggling working out what to wear at this point, especially shoes. I was a boots girl up until 1 week ago, and now I'm okay, where do I go?
And also from the commuting point of view, I always think that's the hardest part.
Yeah.
I really don't want to be the girl who's got another pair of shoes in her bag the whole time.
Kind of, I feel like that's sort of life, isn't it? For
Sort of London
that
life,
transitional period, and London life, you're right. But I don't know, I feel like I'm big into a loafer at this time of year, clearly. I feel like it's a good... while it's a bit too cold still for sandals, and it's you don't want to wear a boot, do you?
No.
I don't know.
And it's too cold for ballerina yet. We say we're.
I was going to
say,
I actually wasn't cold in a ballerina today, but I did have a moment this morning where I was thinking, do I just sock it with a loafer?
Where are we going to for our spring footwear?
I actually think that June London has some really good options.
That is a great shout.
I think they've really mastered that art of sort of taking inspiration from kind of what's happening on designer catwalks and runway shows, understanding sort of what's popular on social media, and then translating that for a high street kind of consumer.
Yeah.
And doing it really well.
Yeah, I think there have been a few cult favourite styles that they've done over the last few months that have been really popular in the office.
Yeah.
There was that pair of like suede kitten heel boots that
Nana set everyone on.
they are so good. I absolutely love
good.
them, and they're like comfortable. So I think that's a really good point. They have some great options. I believe the Grisella style is like the sellout one. I think they're restocking it, and it's like a gorgeous chocolate brown suede, like ruched style.
I know the one you mean.
I've had friends talk about that one actually.
Yeah.
Weirdly.
Yeah.
They are very, very cool. And as you said, like, you know, you kind of got the quality element there, like leather, but at a price that is quite reasonable.
I feel like a good quality shoe, you want to spend a little bit more money on rather than just getting a shoe that you can wear like 10 times and then it starts falling apart.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you had it here.
There you go.
Check out June London for your spring footwear. All right, let's kick off with some new and noteworthy, where we talk about various different recommendations we've got for things we're loving. Harriet.
Well, the first thing I wanted to talk about, it's a difficult one because I can't really recommend it, because by the time the podcast goes out, I think tomorrow will be the last day it's on, which is the Seagull at the Barbican, which I think was very possibly like the hottest theatre ticket in town.
Yeah.
Because the cast is ridiculous. Cate Blanchett plays the lead. Cody Smith-McPhee, who, if you ever watched Power of the Dog or Disclaimer, he was in that. He's a bit of a sort of rising star in Hollywood. Emma Corrin, Tom Burke, who's in the Cormoran Strike series.
Essentially a very star-studded cast.
Star-studded cast, for sure. And I went to see it a couple of weeks ago, and it was a bit disappointing.
Oh, no.
I feel like I always come on here and there's always like
the
a
last
massive star
the last
that I've
time
seen in something, and I'm always like, it's a bit disappointing.
Yeah.
Kate Blanchett is great in it. She's so funny. I didn't realise she could be so comedic, because I think she always does quite serious, like highbrow films, you know, Tar or Carol, you know, it's all the like very, very serious stuff. And this, she really like sends herself up. It's interesting. It's full of contrast, and I don't know if anyone else has seen it and what they thought, but for me, it was sort of maybe a 3-star.
Can I ask a question though? How does one go about getting tickets for these sort of things? Because I really struggle, because there's all these theatre shows in London, and we're like right at the source with all these famous actors, actresses. I never get to.
I know, you have to be so on it, and
Is it like Glastonbury?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, my mum is a huge theatre buff, so I tend to go with her to most of these things, and she's the one on the booking system at like 9 a.m. in the morning. Like, she knows when the tickets are being released. And for this, I think we booked it a year ago.
Wow, really?
Yeah. Oh, that's standard.
I always miss when they're like opening, and then someone tells me, and I'm like,
Yeah,
I remember I booked to see Benedict Cumberbatch as Hamlet years ago now. I'm going to say that was like 2015. But I remember it being hilarious at the time, because we booked it 2.5 years in advance.
Basically, I just need to be better organised.
I know.
It's difficult. I mean, you've got to. I do think, you know, we obviously do our culture roundups here at SheerLuxe, and we try and flag things in as far enough advance. But actually, with the celeb stuff, they don't always like advertise it that far in advance.
It pops up suddenly.
Like occasionally with Benedict Cumberbatch, they did, but I think Rami Malek, who was the one I saw doing Oedipus, I don't think we knew about that until maybe like 7 months in advance. That was closer. And sometimes it's because their schedules, obviously they're filming films, and then all of a sudden they're not, so they're now free and they're going to come and do theatre instead. Okay. So yeah, it's not easy.
Need to be more abreast of it than perhaps. So you didn't love that, but you have a book?
Well, I have a book coming out that I'm so excited about. It's Emily Henry, who I think I spoke about.
You've mentioned her, I feel like,
on the podcast before. She's sort of taken TikTok or BookTok by storm in the last few years, and she now releases a book every April, pretty much.
That is crazy.
Yeah. Vanessa, it's not War and Peace. Let's not get like...
Yeah, because my fantasy books, they take forever to come out.
Well, but that's true. Emily Henry is a romance writer, contemporary romance writer, so there isn't sort of that complexity to them. However, I will defend her until the cows come home. Lots of people like to write her off as chick lit. It's not. It's just really well written and really nice and easy. And if you're looking for a summer read, I mean, I think the one that went like viral a few years ago was literally called Beach Read.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
About two authors who kind of go to the beach and
But also, like, just because it's a romance book. Like, I feel like sometimes romance books get a lot of shit.
do.
Because they're about romance. And it's like, but sometimes it's nice when you're in summer by the beach, hanging out to read something quite nice and not something about, you know.
And the world's a dark place, guys.
Exactly. It's okay to not always or not at all read anything highbrow if like that's not your thing. I've never read one of Emily Henry's books.
I think you'd really like it, Polly. The new one is called Great Big Beautiful Life. It comes out at the end of this month. So I'm really excited
Emily
about
Henry's
that
Stan.
one.
Nice.
So my third one is Captain & Son. Full disclosure, they did send this to the office and I hadn't heard of the brand beforehand, but I had been considering buying the Celine Triomphe sunglasses for like the longest time. Everyone's got them. It's not like the most original purchase in the world, but I really like the shape. Anyway, these got sent to the office and I was like, hang on a minute. I think these look really similar.
Show us what they look like.
Yeah, put them on.
Oh, it's giving chic. Yeah.
It's classic, no?
Very nice, actually. And you're right, it's that kind of...
It's the same shape, it's the same vibe. I think the branding's really subtle. However, the whole brand is really interesting because it's kind of... I don't know if they would say they were a travel brand per se, but they also sell like really practical luggage there. I've got like a Rimowa style kind of like aluminium but not aluminium case from them that is really good, really functional, affordable. I think these come in at around... I think they're actually a German brand.
It does sound quite...
I think they originate from Germany, and the Sunnies are like in the region of £100.
Okay,
so it's like a Jimmy Fairly price. Yeah. It's not cheap, but it's also not a Celine price. So
Lou was wearing some earlier, and they looked really nice. And
she was wearing Captain & Sons.
Yeah, I was like, I looked a little closer, and they were Captain & Son. And Charlotte had a really cool pair, I think, last summer that I was like this close to buying. But I was like, I can't. But they were really, really nice.
Yeah.
I think they were like tinted, I think.
I think they're really good quality. And if you're looking...
good sunglasses as well.
Yeah. Too. I just feel like you can never have too many pairs of sunglasses because they don't take up much room.
Nope.
And they just, they mix up an outfit.
I do think sunglasses can make an outfit.
Well, if you are looking to update your sunglasses collection, we have an edit on the site presently about sunglasses brands to know.
We do 8 independent sort of labels if you're just looking for something a little bit out the mainstream.
Very nice.
They're quite nice, yeah.
Okay, Vanessa, what are you loving right now?
Well, actually, I've been watching a lot of TV, I'm not going to lie. Before the weather went nice. Now it's over. But there was on Netflix, there's a new show called The Residents. And it's basically about a murder. Obviously, it's a murder mystery. I haven't actually watched a murder mystery in a while, so I was quite excited about this. It's a murder at the White House. And they basically built a complete replica of the White House to film in. So like it looks really real. The main detective is Uzo Aduba, who is from Orange is the New Black, if you watch that.
She's so good in that.
Yeah, and this role was made for her. Obviously, it has to be an eccentric person to like be a detective. And like she basically loves bird watching. So the whole show starts with her kind of in the like garden, like looking for birds, and everyone's standing in the window. What is she doing? Why is she doing this? It's just hilarious. It made me laugh a lot, and like it's a classic like traditional murder mystery style of like you don't find out until the end, and everyone gets assembled in a room, and then they go through like how it all happened. It's 8 episodes long, and once it's solved, it's solved. Like there's no like I have to wait for a second season.
Did you get it? Because that's always my thing with murder mysteries. Is like by episode 3, I'm like, I know.
Really?
It.
Yeah. I get a bit too excited, and I guess to really like I overthink
theories,
it. Yeah. Because then I'm like, it can't be the obvious one, so it has to be. I mean, this one was quite rogue, but I had suspicions. But I don't want to say too much because otherwise, I'll give it away. But I highly recommend for just some fun, lighthearted And she's just so good in it. She's so fun.
Something to get your teeth into.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. What else?
So another thing I had, this is now over a month ago, and I'm still talking about it.
I feel like you can still talk about your birthday, especially when it's your 30th. Like, you can drag that out for a year.
So I had my 30th birthday. I had this idea years ago that I wanted to book out a big venue. And I did. I somehow managed to do it. But I just wanted to, I'm not going to talk through my whole birthday, but I just wanted to talk about the venue because I feel like it's not very well known at the minute. And it is so handy and so good. So if anyone's planning, especially I feel like for summer, it would be a great place. If anyone's planning like a small wedding or like another birthday, any sort of event, I feel like it would be really cool. The only reason I came across it was because someone was doing a competition to win a stay there. So I saw it there, and then we contacted them. It's called Netking Hall. Sorry.
I was going to be like, what's the name of it?
So what's the name of it? I'm getting ahead of myself.
Tell us what it is.
No, it's called Netking Hall. It's near Ipswich. And it's basically, it's got 9 bedrooms. It sleeps up to 24 people. And what I like about the bedrooms is they're all kind of the same size. You know, when you book these houses and then there's like 5 really nice bedrooms and the rest are like bunk beds. And it's like, oh,
who gets them?
And especially the single people then get like put in these weird rooms and you're just there like, oh, wow, okay, thank you, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was nice that all the rooms were the same size-ish. I got the biggest one, obviously.
Birthday girl.
It's my birthday. But like, yeah, and there was enough bathrooms, like, you know, it wasn't like, yeah, you had to squish in. And then they had so many amenities. Like there was a pool house, which was separate. And it was one of those salt pools, so no chlorine. So much nicer on the skin. There was a sauna in the pool house. There was a tennis court, which was great. It's a massive like area where you can just go for walks in. There was a pond. It was just a perfect space. And it wasn't grand in the sense of like, you know, it wasn't like a manor house. It was more like cottage style, but big.
Yeah, okay.
And I really liked that because it still felt cozy, even though it was for quite a lot of people. So yeah, I just thought, you know, if anyone else is struggling with vacations, because I really did struggle, this is the one.
It's quite hard to find those kind of places that sleep that many people and with all those, you know, amenities, man, that's pretty cool.
And then also for it not to be in the middle of nowhere, where like you can't reach like.
And presumably you thought the price was reasonable.
Yeah, the price was actually so reasonable. Yeah. Like for how many people you can fit. Yeah, it's actually really well priced.
All right, there you go. Thank you so much. I mean, I'm kind of gutted I'm already 30, but my next birthday is like not for another year and it'll be like 33. But you can celebrate your 33.
That's enough. Do we have a German word for that? It's called Schnapszahl.
Pardon?
Bless you. Schnapszahl. It's basically when it's 2 similar numbers, so 11, 22, 33, 44. For some reason, that's also a big special birthday because, you know, just the round ones is not enough.
Okay,
so you could make this a big one if you wanted to.
Well, I have a couple of things to recommend. I'm going to recommend a restaurant first, and it's not in London.
Oh,
so
wow.
I know I thought I'd go out on a limb.
Go.
For those of you that don't know, I moved out of London to Hampshire coming up to a year ago now. I will say, however, that I didn't want to slag it off too much, but like the restaurant scene is just not as good as London. That is something that I have missed. However, I've been meaning to go to this place called Polpo Negro, which is not in Winchester. It's in Alresford, which is about a 10-15 minute drive from Winchester. I'd heard really good things. It's a Spanish tapas restaurant and it's got a Michelin Bib Gourmand award. So not a star, but I think it's kind of highly commended for great quality food for like an affordable price. And I went with some girlfriends last week and it was just so good, and it was like the best meal I've had since leaving London. So I just think, you know, it's kind of nice to recommend places that aren't just all in our little London bubble. And I had these like croquetas which had sort of cheese and honey on the inside.
Oh, I love
phenomenal.
Stuff like that.
Thank God we're filming after lunch.
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, I feel like I could still eat that now.
I was going to say, if someone put it on.
Yeah, I'd 100% eat it. They also do like steaks, and they just have, I think they're kind of rare cuts of steak or whatever, like specific types. And they have them on a blackboard, and they think they just have like one of each, and they say like where it's from and its weight and stuff. And so we got a bit of that, and it was just like the most tender, gorgeous steak, if that's your thing. And we ordered so much, as you usually do with tapas, and like, you know, I think we had like quite a bit left over, and I hate waste. So I was like, I'm going to take a box home with me, and took it home, left it in the fridge, and came back the next day and was kind of hoping it would still be there, but Harry had already eaten it. And he was like, those are the best leftovers I've ever had. Please, can we go? So I'd highly, highly recommend Polpo Negro. Fantastic place. I also have a book to recommend called Sociopath by Patrick Gagne, which is kind of, well, it says on the tin, it's a memoir about a female sociopath, or she identifies as a sociopath. And I guess the purpose of the book is to try and encourage people to understand sociopathy as not something to always be feared. And because I guess it's so associated with bad things and murder and evil, basically. And a lot of it is quite like a hard read because it starts with her being a child and how she noticed very early on that she was different and she didn't feel the same things that other children felt. And people would say to her, like, why are you so weird? Or she described it as like a numbness. So she could feel kind of happiness and sadness fleetingly, but like any kind of like empathy or guilt or like just feeling like, or like fear even. She just didn't really fear stuff in the same way. And how she sort of had to learn because of this kind of personality disorder, how to function in a world which so hinges on emotion, I guess. And it's a kind of, I mean, the problem with sociopathy is it does kind of turn you into someone that's often quite like a bit of a dickhead to other people. So that's harder to sort of empathize and sort of understand and think, oh, that's sort of okay. But I do think it gives you a different perspective on it. And it is quite a page turner. I've not finished it yet, but I've really like raced through the first bit, and it's a New York Times bestseller. So I think it's like £5 on Amazon at the moment.
Wow.
So,
bargain.
again, if you're
I do
into
think it is really interesting, these things, to see into someone's head, like, because I think to us it's so like normal to feel emotions. So it's like, why wouldn't you? But it's like, it's not a choice. Like, you know, like it doesn't come from suddenly. They're like, okay, I'm going to be like this now. It's like from childhood onwards.
I suppose the last couple of years there's been a lot more understood about sort of neurodiversity in general. So this feels like a sort of logical next step maybe in that conversation.
I guess the way she describes it is just, you know, she felt like she'd act out on these things, like she would steal a lot as a child because she couldn't feel anything, and doing like sort of bad things made her feel something. And in that sense, I can sort of maybe appreciate, it's hard to understand because emotions just come so naturally to you, but if they don't at all and you feel like you don't fit in, it must be kind of difficult. And she feels now that she's at a point as an adult that she understands her personality disorder better and has got it to a place where she can control it. So she doesn't feel like she needs to act on things. So much of like the human existence is like not necessarily understanding what like other people's experiences. You don't really like empathize, and you're like, okay, that's not how I would like choose to live my life. But trying to understand maybe is a good thing. And as long as she's not hurting anyone with her.
Yes, and I suppose that's where the problem with sociopathy is, isn't it? Is that very often these disorders, or one similar to it, do lead to them potentially hurting other people.
Yeah.
And that's a difficult roadblock, isn't it?
Yeah. But it's a good read. And the last thing I have to recommend, a bit more trivial, shall we say, is a mascara that I really like. Yay! Just girlies doing girl things.
I mean, we've been very serious. I feel like we're like...
Sociopathy to mascara.
I feel like I need to bring this back up.
Right, mascara.
Let's talk about mascara. So I was very kindly given a Victoria Beckham Beauty Vast Lash mascara, and look, you know, 2 people so far have commented on my eyelashes, which is quite a big deal for me. I've never had like comments on my eyelashes, and they were like, your eyelashes are looking really long, and I'm like, thank you, I think it's my new mascara. It's a kind of tubed one, so which does add like length and in a kind of nice fanned way. So if you're looking for a good mascara, would recommend.
Bit spenny?
It's like £32, which, you know, compared to like drugstore prices,
Depends how seriously you take your mascara.
And clearly I take my mascara very seriously. But I really like it. So
we filmed beauty school this morning, and one of the people that we were filming told us that apparently each brand that brings out a mascara has to like have a different formula and a different like brush, and that's why sometimes it takes quite a long time till they bring out, like, for example, she said that Charlotte Tilbury for 10 years didn't have a mascara because they needed to figure out their own, like, they can't just do the same thing.
All right, well, that's kind of good to know, isn't it, in a way, because you know you're not just buying the same thing with a different brand name,
because that's what it feels like. I'm like, there's so many of them
just because it's a Victoria Beckham one.
So apparently they're all different.
There will be unique technology in there.
Okay, great tip. Thanks for that fact. Right, before we move on to the next segment, we have another competition. This week, Fenty Beauty is kindly gifting one lucky winner the Ultimate Beauty Bundle.
That is exciting.
Oh
I love Fenty Beauty. I think they've got some really, really good launches. It's Rihanna's brand.
It is.
And I think initially it was set up, its sort of original purpose was to tackle kind of like a lack of diversity in the beauty space. Like her foundation was done in hundreds of shades.
And that foundation, if you like coverage, is very, very good.
Really?
Like,
Is it?
yeah, it's really good.
I have to say, I've not tried the base products, but the lip products are so
I've
good.
heard really good things about
Yeah,
the
the
lip
gloss.
products.
Yeah, I think Nana loves, is it Hot Chocolate, the gloss bomb stick? And then I like one that's called Blazed Donut. I love the formula.
Stunning.
So nice.
And the hair care as well is also great.
Yes.
I've got some
you
at
know,
home,
there's
but I
the
haven't
whole
used
there's
it.
a whole thing about Rihanna smelling amazing. Like there's this thing like that
Is
she
there?
apparently smells amazing.
But do you know what fragrance it is?
No, I thought it was gonna be a hair product. No.
No, well, sort of.
What's her fragrance?
It's a Killian, Love Don't Be Shy. It's like supposed to be her signature fragrance, but she has kind of reimagined that in her hair care, supposedly.
Interesting.
And the body products.
Because like, so I have one of her hair products. It's like a 5-in-1 cream, like that you put in after you washed your hair or when you style it. It's not just for curly hair, but like it smells so
It
good.
does smell good. I have actually.
Do you have it? Do you have
Yeah, it's. Yeah. I don't know. I can't remember exactly what the like ingredient in it is, but it smells unreal.
Also, on the note of her smelling really good, I have actually met her in person once.
Word,
right?
clang.
When I was a production intern, my first shoot, like, kid you not, it was all like I didn't know where I was going to, blah, blah, and I I showed up and I was like, cool, what we doing? And they were like, oh, Rihanna, it's coming soon. I was like, what?
Me, Rihanna?
And then at first, obviously she was like really far away, but like the longer the day went on, she kind of like walked past like our production like area. And then at some point she got a bit like hungry, I think, and she just walked over to our like
Little
food
station.
table, our station, and we all stood there,
Like
and
froze.
she just stood there and she just looked at all of us. She was like, hi, just like took herself a breadstick, and we were all like, oh my god,
That's Rihanna.
she
eating a
smells
breadstick.
incredible. She does smell incredible.
Okay.
She smells. It's true.
Well-
The rumors are true. We can all smell like her. If we
Well,
want to.
if that's anything to go by, I'm sure the beauty bundle will be unreal. So if you would like to enter, please leave a comment on the comments below about why you love the SL podcast and what your favourite chat topics are. We're then going to pick one lucky winner and announce it in next week's podcast. T's and C's are in the notes below. And please note our competition winners are only valid to UK entrants. Best of luck. I'm kind of jealous. I might try and enter myself. Okay, for Must and Miss, we have to talk about our cover star, I think. It just
So exciting.
looks unreal. For anyone that missed it, our cover star is the incredible Ramla Ali, boxer, Olympic boxer no less. We shot an incredible feature with her for the site, bit of social content, and she's very inspiring, isn't she?
Massively so. I mean, you say she's an Olympic boxer, but she's the first female boxer to represent Somalia kind of on an international stage. She's competed in Saudi, where they don't typically sort of let women into these roles. She's a UNICEF ambassador. She's an author. She's the founder of a charity that sort of empowers women into sports. And upcoming this year, a BAFTA award-winning producer, Lee Magaday, who is behind films like The Favourite and things like that, she is producing a biopic about Ramla's life. That's how kind of inspiring she is. It's called In the Shadows. That'll be out later this year.
My understanding is that she moved to the UK from Somalia when she was quite young and initially went to the gym to try and lose some weight, I think, because she was bullied for being overweight, but then got into boxing and happened to be quite good at it. And she kind of had to hide that from her parents for a while, I believe. Growing up in a Muslim household, it wasn't sort of the done thing. But her rise through the ranks in the sport has been pretty remarkable, the circumstances. And she also loves fashion, which is amazing and proves that you can be both kind of tough and sporty, but also really feminine and have that duality to your personality and interests. And Vanessa, you were on the shoot, weren't you?
It was, she has like, you know, when people just have this aura of like warmth and kindness and like, I don't know, just like you feel like inspired, just like when you're in the room with her. Like, I don't know, I thought, and she was so nice, so down to earth, and the whole day was just so lovely. She was so patient with everyone as well. Like, I feel like, you know, it was just such a lovely day, and listening to like the interview as it was like going on, and and also like, you know, from a more fashion perspective, it is quite hard for people who are not like, you know, models from the get-go to like get into it. And like, do it the same way, but she's so confident, and I mean, you see in the final pictures.
She talks as well in her interview about some of the events that she's been to and some of the things she's worn, and it's well, I don't want to spoil all of it. I want you to go and, like, if you haven't already watched, read, whatever, go and read it, go and watch all the YouTube content, because she's got some great stories to tell, and
she's also fighting later this year, and again, I won't spoil who it is, but a very big name is designing her kit.
I saw that bit. That's what I was going to say. But also, all the SheerLuxe girlies are going to be there. Everyone's suddenly into boxing. We've got our team now ready to support.
Yeah, I feel like I could get into boxing. I went to watch a friend box once, like a female friend, and it was quite, like, it's intense.
Yeah.
And, like, it's an incredible sport. And I think if I was less concerned about knocking my teeth out, I would like to have a go at it.
But she also talks about that in the interview. She talks about, she's got various sort of battle scars over the years of different fights and stuff. And, I think someone who might assume someone's so into fashion that they wouldn't want to risk getting punched in the face or whatever, but she sort of talks about how she's handled those injuries over the years and now kind of, like, wears her battle scars with pride and stuff. So that's a very inspiring part of the interview.
So lovely.
Yeah. Well, as I said, if you've not already read the content on our site and on our YouTube channel with Ramla, in that, it's well worth a read. Such a cool woman. I feel like I'm being reductive. She's so much more than that, but go and check it out. All right, before we move on, please do subscribe to the SheerLuxe podcast. It really helps us out and helps us to continue making content like this. Okay, let's talk about hot topics, shall we? Where we chat all things culture, celebrities, and wider news. So, Harriet, what's caught your eye this week?
Well, a couple of things. The first thing is more of a fashion thing, I suppose, if we're talking about fashion, which is there's kind of starting to be a bit of a backlash online. And maybe, Polly, you know more because you're kind of more in the influencing social media content creation world. But there seems to be this thing that's being led by a very few specific content creators who have huge followings, where they're saying they're sort of turning their back on luxury fashion. And these are people, I think what makes that notable is that these are people who have built those followings largely on their interest and spending ultimately on luxury fashion, and they're now saying that they don't feel safe carrying a lot of these items around, particularly bags from big brands, and a lot of them are selling off collections, pieces, wardrobes, etc. And it's ruffled a few more feathers than I thought it would. You say it out loud and you think, okay, what's the big deal? Like, if they don't want to do that, they don't want to do that. But I think in a world where we are ultimately quite led by influencers in a lot of our, like, purchasing and ultimately taste levels, it feels quite seminal that these sort of OG influencers are saying, I'm over it.
Social media has gone so far and so widespread that everyone now knows what a Birkin looks like. It's all over every social media. So I guess it is a bit scarier.
With certain influencers, they're so kind of public about what they've got. Maybe it puts you in a vulnerable position to advertise essentially that you've got this vast collection of luxury handbags. A lot of them have been robbed,
haven't they?
Yeah. And it is, unfortunately, nowadays very easy to find out where someone lives if you really want to.
Yeah.
And I can see why they might think actually it's not worth the risk and the stress. Obviously, it's a hugely privileged position to be in to say, I don't want to have these bags anymore. I'm going to sell them because I'm sure for a great number of people, the idea of ever owning a luxury handbag is kind of out of reach. But you also have to put yourself in their shoes and consider the safety aspect, and maybe it's not worth it.
It is really scary thinking, like, because, like, do you remember those times where, like, the big celebrities were robbed for a while by these teenagers?
Yeah, the
bling ring era, and like now it's like it's so different because there's so much, and everyone films in their home. Don't really think, like, I remember there was a time where people were even scared, like, to show, like, their friends or family members, kids, you'd be like really careful where you film. Whereas now I think it's kind of like that filming at home really sells well. So everyone does it. And then
and then the genie's out the bottle, really, isn't it? And how do you dial that back? I also think, like, two other things are really at play here, which is that dupe culture has kind of gone a bit mental. We won't mention the very famous website, but there's a very famous website that now sort of sells every designer handbag under the sun. So it's like, are Birkins even that special anymore when everyone appears to have one, even if it's not real? And then the second thing I think is ultimately like quiet luxury is still, people love to talk about how it's not a thing anymore and that the moment's passed, but I don't think that's true.
Yeah. I wonder as well whether, again, this is just like a perspective, isn't it, that we're hearing from like a certain like demographic, quite a small demographic of people who probably have, you know, they ascended through their like career and earned enough money to buy those bags. And then it's almost like that age old trope of, you know, do all these like material things really make you happy and you get them all and then you're like, what next?
I've bought all the, out.
I've bought all the things that I really thought would, you know, complete my life, but actually it's not bringing me the fulfillment that I thought it would. So actually now we're turning my back on that, and I can see why that might sort of get people's back up a bit, because it's like, all right, you're in the position now where
you've told me to buy all this stuff and now you're like, saying none of it's worth it.
That's so true. Sometimes you only realize when you have it. I was like, oh, it's just a thing, isn't it?
It's just things.
Not that I can relate, but
well, people.
I recognize it's almost like a little like treasure to have like one designer bag or a few. But if you have that many, I guess it becomes like with everything else. If you have lots of it, you're going to start getting
power and the privilege to do whatever you want. Is it wrapped up in achievement? Probably not in the same way for sort of average person.
Probably from experience, having bought a couple of very nice handbags, though I love them, they're not what brings me the ultimate fulfillment in my life. And I think it's important to know that with the people that you're following, that, you know, obviously it's their job. Everyone's got to, I'm obviously saying this as a creator and whatever, you know, I'm not trying to diss anyone. It's the job to kind of inspire and influence, obviously. But, you know, knowing when to kind of not take it with a pinch of salt, but just judge when you might like something, but also knowing that you don't have to buy into all of it.
That is such a good point. I think I have even only learnt this lesson recently, which is to see something and like it and not buy it. I think there is like a decision in that process, which perhaps social media trains our brains not to do. It's like, see it, like it, buy it, or see it, like it, want it. Whereas now I think I'm at an age and a stage of life maybe where I can easily look at something and be like, that is so nice.
But I don't need it.
You do you.
You do you, babe. That's the ultimate message. I would like to discuss an article that I read in the Sunday Times Style this weekend about midlife friendships, specifically like, you know, friendships in your 30s and 40s, and how they change to become just sort of like repeated catch-ups. I'd like to read a bit of the article, if that's okay with you.
Little reading session.
A little reading.
Don't mind if I do. Yeah.
Because I think it hit on some quite good points. So I felt like after a catch-up with a friend last year, where it seemed like we were just ticking off the things that had happened since we last saw each other, the sense of being stuck in the same cycle, talking about the same things, work, dating, marriage, kids, holidays, wasn't specific to that one friend. I realised how the majority of my friends and I spend time together, a quick drink before dinner at a mid-level restaurant somewhere equidistant from our respective homes. Now it feels as if we are endlessly catching up. We aren't creating new memories and we are not experiencing joy, which is hard to do whether or not a London waiter is counting you down to the moment your 90-minute table slot ends. And I kind of...
Sounds like you relate.
I sort of relate, like not with all of my friends, I will say that, but the idea that you just, you know, oh, let's catch up, let's go for dinner on like, you know, weeknight after work. You go for dinner, you just catch up on all the things that you've done since the last time you saw each other, but you're not making any actual new memories with each other. And I think that's a bit of a shame. And in the article, it sort of tries to promote the idea of, rather than just going for dinner and catching up, trying to like do an activity together and make some new memories, because what a lot of friendships are formed on is like shared experiences and activities. And I wondered what you guys thought about that.
Well, I can relate to that as well, but I've kind of like found for myself like obviously I have a group of friends that like I hang out with every week, so we update each other on WhatsApp, like, and then we hang out and we make memories. Memories. Oh my God.
Memories.
We do. We just get drunk. Great memories. And then I speak to a random guy. No, I'm joking. Oh, am I? You'll never know.
Not joking.
No, but I have like some friends that I only see like every couple months, and you'll see them and it's like you have to catch up on so much. So I kind of like, I almost put a time limit in of like, okay, let's quick fire questions. Like, what's been happening, the like hottest tea. Like, we're not going to talk about what color you painted your bathroom. We're going to talk about like, is there any like, what happened at work, anything crazy, what happened in your relationship, anything crazy. And then you just move on, and
nice.
you just, then you can talk about fun things. And I think you can also make memories without an activity. I'm not hugely like an activity. Like I love going to a class or like going for a nice walk, going for a hike. Like
I think these are still classes activities.
Those are still really nice. I just don't love the mini golfing.
Yeah, doesn't have to be.
I think like you can still make memories having a nice dinner together. I think the key is just let's not try and update each other on every single thing that happened in our life and try and like more like,
get deeper.
Yeah. Is there something like we're both connecting on, like where we're both struggling and then we get into that and then it gets funny. I don't know. It's hard, but I know it's hard because what classifies as a memory, you know, like
I guess you just feel a bit like you're being sort of shoehorned. You're shoehorning each other in, like, and catching up for the sake of saying you've ticked that box, and it becomes just like another part of your like never-ending list of admin to do, and like that's kind of sad, isn't it? When friendships become that.
Also, don't you think like when it's just that, when you know that you're meeting up with someone, but it's literally just to catch up on each other's life, you're not as excited to do it. No. Like it's almost like it almost feels like. I don't know the English word for it. Like a thing you need to tick off of your list, like you said. And then it's kind of, it takes away the whole like, so yeah, maybe it is like, if there was something nice, like, oh, we're going to Cambridge for the day.
Like
we'll still have a drink, but we're going somewhere new.
It's important. And like my girlfriends and I try and organise like a weekend away once a quarter, just somewhere in the UK. It doesn't have to be abroad. And I think it's really important, and we all try and prioritise it, and I find that time with them really enriching, and that's, as much as I enjoy the catch-up ones, those form the new funny like memories, cool memories that bring you together and you can dwell on and talk about and whatever. So
that's actually so nice. Really I kind of want to do that now.
Should start it.
I think one of the ways to kind of make it feel better, I think some of the traps that me and my friends fell into at the end of my 20s was we'd always be like, yeah, I can do brunch on Saturday between like 10:30 and 11:15. It's like, I've got 45 minutes. Is that it?
Like, well, you can
so you feel more like squeezed in. And I have always tried to be really conscious of like, if I agree to meet someone after work, like I don't put a deadline on it. Like if she wants to be out till 10, we'll be out till 10. Like I'll survive. It'll be fine. But a lot of friends, I would say, that probably fell away towards the end of my 20s were the ones who were like super scheduled about it. So although I appreciate that like some things have to have structure, and maybe like getting something in the diary is like the way to. I
agree. I think feeling like you're on a time constraint.
It just feels like a meeting.
It's like, oh, am I not important enough?
It's like start the stop clock.
Like maybe just organise fewer things in your diary and spend like real quality time with those people rather than just trying to like do everything. But anyway, it's hard. We are going to do some dilemmas now, where we answer some of your burning questions. We've got a couple of juicy ones this week.
Matches the theme of our motivational speeches.
Yeah, welcome, guys. Well, we've talked about being in our 30s quite a bit. So this question
my
feels
whole
quite...
personality.
Yeah, it's basically Vanessa's time personality. So I feel like she's the person to ask. 30th birthday. Will I regret it if I don't go big? I think I know the answer to this. Do I go away? I don't want to put my friends out, but it is a big deal.
Well, I think she's answered her own question, don't you?
It's a big deal.
She says it's a big deal.
Yeah.
I was literally about to say, like, it totally depends on your personality. If you're a, like, homebody who doesn't love to go out party and your idea of a great 30th is, like, dinner with your family, then do that.
Yeah.
Don't feel pressured.
I was about about to say something similar in the sense of, I know I did a huge birthday, which was obviously amazing and everything I wanted, but at the same time, I put so much pressure on myself to make it so perfect that, you know, like, full disclosure, I had a little cry at some point. You know, it doesn't look like that on my Instagram, but there was a moment where I was just like, is everyone having a good time? I can't, you know what I mean? And obviously everyone was, but like,
it's nice of you to admit that.
Yeah, it was a week, and at the time I remember I was like, I'm never speaking about this again, but like, you know, it was a weak moment, and I was stressed. I was too stressed instead of just enjoying the moment. There was all these people that decided to come on this weekend with me and have a great time, and I was still concerned that, like, you know, they weren't like having a good, I don't know. So as much as I'd say, if you want to do a big birthday, absolutely go for it. Just make sure that you think about what it actually is that you want to, you know, achieve. Like, I know there's all these like movie scenes of, you know, these crazy parties, and like you get a picture in your head of what you'd like it to look like. And I think it's just kind of managing expectations when it's a big weekend away. It might not go exactly the way you plan it, especially if you're a planner like me, and it's still like going to be amazing. But also, like, sometimes I think we feel pressure to do something big because everyone tells us it's a big deal. But if it's not the time for you right now, you can still do that for your 31st. Like, it's really just like, you know, I think people put pressure on it because it's that number, like 20, 30, 40. It's like, you have to have a big birthday. But if you're doubting it and if you're unsure, maybe, you know, think about what like really does make you happy.
The point about not wanting to put their friends out, I think it's a really sweet consideration, but like you said, you've got to think about what you want to do. And it's not like you're asking them to go to, like, you know, camping in, you know, the wilderness, or maybe you are, I don't know, but like it's probably going to be something nice, and you're inviting them to come on a nice evening, weekend, whatever it is. So they'll want to come. You know, you can be like sensitive to everyone's budgets and things like that in your planning, but don't worry about like people pleasing.
That's the thing. And you'd be surprised how many people actually are like, absolutely. Like, you know, there's like, because you obviously worried, like, obviously it's money spent and so on, but like people actually, like, you know,
they want to.
Yeah, they want to. And if they can't, you know, that's okay. They'll probably say, let's go for dinner though afterwards. But if you want the big party,
you go for it, girl.
You go for it.
You know where to go.
That's true.
Neck and Hall. Okay, I've got quite a fun one now. If you get your nails done and you hate the colour, do you just deal with it, or do you say something?
That's a good one.
No, I say something.
Do you?
Yeah, I would.
But like,
I'm 36.
When it's done, like, would you be like, I don't like this, to redo it?
Oh no, well, the place where I go in Wandsworth, Lady J, love you, they will paint one nail and then they'll stop and they'll be like, is it okay? So I feel like I've always got a very natural opening to be able to say, oh no, I don't like it. But I think you were saying earlier, like, the problem is you wouldn't be able to tell from one nail.
Well, also, no, here's my problem, right? I'm quite indecisive. And then this, you know, I'll be looking at those 5,000 nail colours and I'll be like trying some, and then I'll be like, oh, maybe this one. Or do I go a bit experimental? And this one. And then the person
Vanessa,
doing my nail.
This isn't the last manicure you're ever going to have.
I know, but then the people are like, oh my God, no, you should go with the wild one. And then I feel pressured. And as a people, I'm in my 30s now, if you haven't heard yet. So I'm going to be not a people pleaser anymore. But as a people pleaser, then I go like, really, do you think? And they're like, yeah. And then the next thing you know, I come out the salon with weird nails.
Green nails, you're like, what's just happened?
The thing is, you cannot listen to the people in the nail salon. No, they will always tell you to go with the bright one.
They're so bored.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what you've got to remember.
They want the funky colours.
They do red and neutral all fucking day long. They are so bored.
But
so
there's
like
a reason why red and neutral are the best ones, and everyone wears it because they are the easiest to wear.
Yeah, they're the classics. But the people in the nail salon do it day in, day out. And they want to do green.
They want to do something funky.
So I feel the pain. But like, I feel like because you're paying money for it, so like,
you should be able to say.
You should be able to say.
I have though got to the end of a manicure and like, look, you know, as they're doing it, because they've like, do you like that? And I'm like, yeah, it's fine, yeah, it's great. Like, and then they've done it, and I'm like, as soon as they finish, they're like, do you like it? And I'm like, yeah, love it. I walk out and I'm like, that's 2 weeks of nails I hate.
And you're not going to get rid of it.
I don't know. There's something, I'm better at it these days. I try to be like, right, can we just like test it? Like, I look at it really closely and I'm like, no, yes, no. One of my like goals for this year was to say no more.
Yeah.
And
I like that.
And I once, this is also a hot tip, don't go when you've had like 2 beers, because I've done that before and walked out with like I wanted like pillar box red. I was a bit pissed and I walked out and they were like, these are neon.
Oh no.
And like I just had to stare at them and like I was just getting so obsessed with being like, are they neon?
At the bus stop, can't focus.
It was a rough 2 weeks, to be honest with you.
I might actually try that just to see what I would walk out with.
I love the idea of red on my hands, but every time I do it, I just look down. I'm like,
don't like this.
Santa nails.
Santa nails. Oh my god.
No, I can't do it. I have red on my toes every time. Every time.
Nice.
Because I think that does look kind of
I like
sexy.
a red toe.
Sexy.
Yeah.
Sexy.
And a neutral on your toe, I think, can sometimes look a bit corpse.
Yes, I had to be very careful the other day. I got my first pedicure of the year done and I wanted like a milkier white, not like a Tipex white. And she didn't have that. So she put on this pink and I was like, that is the same colour as my skin. So I was like, that ain't it. So I've ended up with Tipex white, which in itself is a bit.
The girlies love it though. I see it on TikTok all the time.
Really?
Everyone's got a white toe manicure at the moment.
Okay, well maybe I'm like the Gen Z
trendsetter.
girlies. Yeah. All right. Well, that wraps up today's episode. That was a fun way to end, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us and we'll see you next week. Don't forget to subscribe and spread the word to your friends. And a reminder about our competitions. Do head to the comments. Let us know what you love about the SheerLuxe podcast, what topics you love the best, and you'll be in with a chance of winning that Fenty Beauty Ultimate Beauty Bundle. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time.